Welcome to Manut Pet Talks. This is Manut Pet Talk episode 5. Are you shy about speaking English and feel stuck with it? Well, here it doesn't matter if grammar is good or bad. We care about comprehension and connection. To us, Manut Pet means leaving your comfort zone to try new things. Even if we can be the best, it's the process of experience that makes us who we are. We just love using language. So, let's talk. Today, we bring you in our part 2 series on Summerland, the great movie that we introduced to you in episode 4. We were so grateful to have the chance to talk to another famous fourth-year English major student about this movie. PP watched the movie Summerland for the first time in English Hour with us. We hope you enjoy listening to his take on the movie in today's episode.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello everyone, my name is Ajaan. I'm a third-year student in English major, Humanities and Social Science, KKU.
Thank you.
So nice to have you here today.
Thank you. It's my honor. Yes.
Today there are a lot of topics about Summerland that we are going to talk about, but we will not give you any spoilers because I think there are some people who haven't seen this movie yet.
I think it's a wonderful movie. Yeah.
And you had observed, I remember right after we watched, you said it doesn't have a lot of dialogue. So even though we watched it in English with English subtitles, no Thai, it seems like it's not too much dialogue for anyone who wants to practice watching movies in English with English subtitles. It might be a good place to start, right?
Yeah.
Because the dialogue is, there's not too much dialogue. There's enough, but not too much. I think PP brought up another big theme in the movie, which was LGBTQ. This is actually a lesbian, right?
Yeah.
And but I was wondering, did you guys observe? I don't think that most people in the town knew that she was a lesbian, right? They just saw her as someone who's living alone, like a single woman. Which even just that made her different from everyone else. Like, why is she living alone? Is that true? Or did they know that she was a lesbian?
I think someone know.
Maybe some people guessed.
Yeah, some people guess.
Because it seems like she kind of kept it a little bit on the down low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe because she just seemed so strange and isolated and, woman living alone. So she was... A lot of the kids would accuse her of being actually a Nazi spy, or some people accused her of being a witch as well. Yeah.
She was discriminated by being alone.
That's why I think because she was called by the children in the village, she's a witch, kind of that. And I think maybe in that time, living alone is kind of weird for women. I suppose.
Oh, definitely. Because at that time, from the late 19th century until early century, women were expected to be a housewife.
Yeah.
They were expected to marry early and to marry to someone who's prosperous, who's rich, and they will be able to live happily after. And that's what they thought during those centuries. And so for a woman to really living alone, separated from the community without having a husband, it's not only strange, but it's also a sign of negativity inside her. And since the scientific understanding of living in such a conditions, or even the social values hasn't developed that much, it's evolved to become a discrimination towards those who have that kind of lifestyle, especially women.
Yeah, I think that for girls and women back then, it's like first you are under the care of your parents, especially your father, and then you're for a wedding, your father gives you away, right? In a traditional wedding, so it's like your father will give you away to your new chaperone, your new husband, and your new guy to look after you.
Yeah.
You never get any freedom from that
a symbol of patriarchy. The existence of patriarchy during like 19 to 20th century to early 21st century is really big.
What about in Thailand? You guys said you want to compare to Thailand a little bit. Is or you could compare to today in Thailand.
I think like these days, they maybe people choose to be single a lot, and they choose to be alone, and if they are financially independent, so they don't have to marry or have kids. And besides, the economic these days it's really not good to have kids. Maybe they choose to be together or live together with their partner, but they don't want to have a kid.
In my opinions, this like discrimination towards single women will exist not for Thai people that like the Thai ethnicity didn't think that much, but if you are a Chinese Thai, that is another story. Because Chinese Thai is really patriarchy, right? And it's pretty much the same with Western values, but it's much more intense. And since like the Confucianism is a religion in China, right? That is really emphasized on the roles in the family, the unity of the family. Thus, women in this Confucian religion also expected to marry to a man to have the protection also. Thus, those who live under the Chinese Thai ethnicities will face this pretty much the same suffering that our protagonist has.
Actually, my home, my family, they're Chinese, and that's why like our family, like like the past Chinese New Year, like when our family gathered together, they would talk like, "Oh, you're now 22, or you have a boyfriend? Oh, did you clean the house? Are you cleaning the house by yourself? Oh, that's great. You're a good girl. You will be a good housewife like this." Kind.
But for me, for my family, I think it's different with Bob. They didn't expect with me because I think they know that my gender, something like that.
Yeah, well, I even still feel some pressure to have a baby here in Thailand, even not just from Chinese Thai, but from Thai people everywhere in the community. They always ask me when I'm gonna have my baby. I don't think they should give up on this.
I think Thai tends to think of babies as a good thing. So Thai people, they would like they want you to have babies, so they expect you to have joy to have baby.
Yeah.
It's not like the
and
pressure.
The baby they'll grow up to take care of me when I'm an adult. So a lot of people will worry about me in maybe some superficial way. I'm not sure, but what's going to happen to you when you're old?
To inherit the family, right?
The family name, or
I think to inherit in the family is Chinese, more of a Chinese thinking. But for Thai, they view their children as a property for them to prosper, and then when they are competent enough, they will take care of us after we have put the capital on that property.
Since we talk a lot about family and baby, should we talk about the motherhood in this movie? Alice had a girlfriend before, and her girlfriend left her because she wants to be a mother, and she knows that it's impossible to be a mother if they are still together. That's why.
But so it means that she has to break up with her ex Vera. Her name is Vera, right? She has to break up with Alice in order for her, because she wants a family. She wants to have a baby, and so she decides to get married to a man.
But Vera also said that she left Alice not because it was taboo for them to be together, that it's two women, but because she wants to be a mother.
So at that time, it's the only way, right? Because nowadays we can be a mother in a female-only relationship, a male-only relationship.
You can adopt the baby from
or we could even use the fertilizing from like the banks of
Yeah.
yeah
There are ways.
yeah there are a lot of ways. I think the morals of the story about this thing is that you could not have everything in your life without sacrificing something. And if you value something more than anything, you must be willing to also sacrifice those that are not as valuable as your goal. And I think that is also the case with Alice, right? Because Alice didn't think that she will be a good mother. I think that was I grasped in the movie, because she her even though it's not like explicitly clear that she didn't think that she was a good mother, but it's like it's you could grasp it in the movie that Alice didn't think that she is capable as a mother.
And I think it's hard to imagine having a kid thrown at you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people will accept that responsibility, So I can imagine. Yeah, and like you said, she's so used to being alone that only taking care of herself, but eventually they form a strong bond, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And it will last for the rest of their life.
Summerland. Maybe we have not explained yet to our audience what Summerland is.
Yeah.
What is Summerland?
Summerland is a place between heavens and hell. But the Summerland exists in Earth, but it's not for those who were humans. It's those who were dead. So it is an afterlife, but an afterlife island that exists on the Earth, like in the atmosphere, right? And those who are dead will live there.
Yeah, well, but it's actually from a pagan belief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is paganism? I think we have to explain this first, maybe.
Yeah. You want me to explain it?
Please.
Okay. So paganism is a word that describes every local religions that is not aligned according to the mainstream religion, especially if it's in the same land that they have like the Christianity. And other than that, it will be called paganisms. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like local, really ancient belief systems that people had that are more based on spirituality, right? And on
Mythology.
mythology. And so when you say Summerland is a place between heaven and hell, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if heaven and hell in paganism, if it's something in the local beliefs that they believe in heaven and hell. But in the movie, when she explained Summerland, he asked where it is. Frankie's like, where is Summerland? Jesus, right here.
Around us.
On the
Yes,
earth.
it's all around us. It's like spirit. It's the spirit world, right? Kind of. That's and in this pagan belief, maybe it's like everywhere. So you were saying right after the movie, I remember you said that it can kind of be compared to
Concepts of spirits in Isan's belief. Yeah.
So like a spirit is in everything, in the trees, and the rocks, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
In Isan spirituality beliefs, they believe that the spirit is not ghost. Ghost is just a type of spirit, but the spirit exists everywhere, and the good spirits exist inside us to give us the consciousness, the ability to have a conscious mind. In Isan, we call it Kwan. Yeah, that exists like by Si Su Kwan, right? To bring the good spirits to our place, to make this place more convenience, more prosperity, or according to what we wanted to happen, according to our objectives and goals. But when we have good spirits, we have bad spirits also. In Rangsong also, it allows us to see like the bad spirits, especially those wanderer spirits of a beast, like from a dog a spider, or every kinds of animal you could imagine. And even a bad spirit from a deceased person who were dead by the accidents, those who were dead by false pregnancies. Yeah, and a lot of if your quans disappeared or left your body, it's like you open the gate to the burglar or to the thief, right? You allow the thief to enter in your home and to take hold of your body, and that's what happened in Rangsong. Yeah, and yeah, in Islam's beliefs, in every area, in everything we like, especially rice, trees, soil, mountains, it will have spirits, sites in them, to live in them, and those who were dead, they didn't like go to heavens or at all. As I say, the deceased spirits still around us.
To stay in Summerland.
Yeah, or else if they have enough merit that were given by their family, according to Buddhist belief, they will it will allow them to go to heaven. But if they didn't have that, they will stay in the land as a wanderer spirit. Actually, I heard a podcast from an Ajaan from Silpakorn University. He also said that Southeast Asian local beliefs in the ancient time were matriarchy. But as you said, the women are the symbol of fertility, and they also the means of communication to the gods and the spirits. So women have such a high role in the society, especially the Rangsong, right? I think if we want to see this, you need to go to the like rural areas where it hasn't developed much, especially minorities, ethnicity like Hmong or those who live in the mountain. You could see that.
I would love to see it with my own eyes.
And like those who like have like spiritual power and like really great power in ordering people, most of the time is the elder woman. Those elder women is the one who like take care, who like manage or even judge about things that happens in a society or in the community, right?
Tell me more about your hometown then. This is great.
Well, it's like in my hometown, before we do anything, like, how do you say เกี่ยวข้าว in English?
Harvest the rice.
Yeah, before we do that, we will like tell the spirit before that we are going to do this, and please make this going fine.
That makes our harvest fruitful.
Before we doing anything, we always tell the spiritual, our ancient, all the time that we are going to do this. Please take care of us. Our ancestors.
And those who do it will usually be women, right?
The ones who harvest the rice, or do you mean the ones who pray?
Yeah, the ones who pray or doing all the ceremonies, or those who have mastered the ceremony. Well, most of the time will be women, and that is the sign of like how is like how people in Isan perceive the power through the matriarchy, even though it's happened patriarchy ever since like Rama V, since the coming of like Western's values, but it's still relevance there. It's the evidence, I would say.
Ajaan Emiko, you say it's not only since Rama V, but before that, since influence from India.
Buddhism's, right? Yeah.
I'm so glad I listened to Ajaan Emiko's lecture. So interesting. Yeah, so I think that's the thing. It's hard for me to separate out sometimes if there's the local like traditional, maybe it was matriarchal, but there's so much overlapping influence from outside from the patriarchal value systems.
The complexities, right?
It's crazy.
The Buddhism and Confucianism is, and even Hinduism is patriarchy already, and then come with the modernization of Western values and laws.
And that happened as well in Europe and America with paganism, and then the Christian values. So in some ways they go together, but as you know about the witch hunts, witch trials. So
Yeah.
being a witch became a bad thing. And I have an ancestor who was accused of being a witch, and she was one of the last rounds in the Salem witch trials in America to be hanged. She was hanged, but actually, she wasn't a witch. She was, I mean, she probably was not even like I don't know what her belief systems were, but the real reason was because she was her husband died, and then she could not get remarried, and yet she had a small estate, so she became like a beggar, or he didn't leave much for her, so she became a beggar. So because of that, the community, like, maybe she was treated
Discriminate her.
similar to Alice in Summerland in some way, and she
yeah.
became known as the witch. So it's really interesting. That was in the 1600s.
Yeah. And at 1600s, Christianity really the terms king of the kings, the king of the kings, because they took control in everything, political power, jurisdictions. Yeah.
Christianity
Yeah. Because
still has power in America. Yeah.
today, yeah.
It's actually surprising for me one time, because I grew up thinking that, in America we have separation between church and state.
Yeah.
But finally, when I grew up a little bit and I watched some presidential speech, and then
Yeah.
I saw how Christian it is. It's very, like, religion is actually very much in our government now
Yeah.
in America, more than I knew when I was growing up.
Especially for those Republicans, right?
Yeah, but even Democrats, it's like, it's very, it's like the norm that it's hard to, if you're going to break
Separate.
away from the norm, you might be ostracized, you might be opening yourself up to some criticisms.
Or
So
you even get cancelled.
you could get canceled. Yes.
Yeah.
For me, when you say that Christianity,
Christianity.
took over everything, it reminds me of that time that I study introduction to Western philosophy. There was a time that they use Christian belief to explain philosophy
Yeah.
belief things.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we back to the movie.
Yeah.
So there's one topic left is loss and grief, because in the movie, Alice lost
Her
his
father.
Yeah, lost her father.
Yeah, and like I think the loss of such a dominant figure in her life really contributes to her attitudes, to her beliefs, and her persona, her characteristic. Yeah.
Yeah, she talked, I guess it was more recent when she was with Vera, right? And Vera was trying to help her process her father's death. It seemed like it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to mourn your father's death. Like, you don't have to keep it inside. I think she kind of felt like she had to push down her grief at first, but Vera helped her to process it.
Yeah. And the later incidents will also help her to heal from such a traumatized events in her life. Yeah.
They said there was five state of
Grief.
yeah.
And so the 5 stages of grief come from Kubler-Ross and Ross. Yeah. So first one is denial, avoidance. And so the things that in denials, that the characteristic is that they will have avoidance, confusion, elation, shock, and fear. And the second stage is the anger. The anger. So the anger will have the characteristic of frustration, irritation, and anxiety. And the next one is the third. It's the bargaining. This is the first two is the downhill, right? But now it's quite come to the neutrality. Now it's like compromising. Try to compromising from the last 2 stages. Bargaining is struggling to find meanings, reaching out to others and telling one's stories. I think, and fourth is depression. This is uphill now, but still in the depressed area, like overwhelmed, helplessness, hostility, and fight. And then the last one is the resolution from all the grief is the acceptance, exploring options, new plans in place, and move on. And I think Alice would be characterized in depression because she felt overwhelmed. As you said, she puts it under the rug, right?
But is that avoidance? Or is it avoidance?
Yeah, it's avoidance. It's like
Denial.
because helpless, right? She unable to help and she become hostile to everybody around her after like Vera left her, right? She become hostile to the communities, to the kids, and even Frank. You know, at the like during the first period of like between Frank and Alice is pretty hostile, I would say.
Neglectful.
Yeah.
At least neglectful. But that would be, I think that there's more than one tragedy that she has to overcome, right? Because first it's her father, that he dies in a tragic accident,
Yeah.
right? And then it's when Vera decides that she must leave her. So that's another tragedy for her.
Yeah.
And then maybe after that, I think there's some level of acceptance actually that she
I think
with her life, you know, she's okay, but then that what comes to kind of upsets everything that she, you know, she thinks she's gonna be fine with her writing and she's like accepted her isolated life.
Yeah. What she does, what she did, it just put it under the rug to just suppress it.
Maybe.
But I think for the father, for the father issues, I think she's have accepted already. Yeah, but for Vera, is not still not.
Yeah, I don't know because maybe she did put it on the rug, but at the same time, that's a good question. Is she accepting it or is she putting it on the rug? Because I know so many women who just fantasize about being able to leave society and stay by themselves.
You just escape all the problems.
Yeah.
But I mean, for nowadays, I think the problem is too overwhelming for us to really handle everything down. And it's fair enough. It's fair to say is that escape could be a more reasonable choice nowadays.
Escape. What are you suggesting? I don't know if it's reasonable. Yeah, there's two. Well, it's not possible for everyone to escape, right?
Yeah.
So there's another option is that we can create community because right now we don't really have community.
I think that's a very important lessons that every Thai citizen should know because in terms of I think the political turmoils that we have right now, I think the compromising, the ability to compromising is not exist between like conservatives and progressive movement yet, and it was influencing by the generation gaps between baby booms and Gen Zs too, and since as you say, the existence of communities and the abilities to resolve the conflicts yet, thus we are unable to really unite in order to solve the problems for our countries because we still insist to believe in the things that we believe and we shall overwhelm those who do not believe the same thing with us. Yeah, and I think the existence of communities will be a great help in Thai society.
This has been Manut Pet Talks and the final part of our discussion, Summerland. What do you think about our conversation? Leave your comment in the comment section. And join us again next week for episode 6 with a new surprise guest who came a really long distance to discuss our new delicious topic with us. Stay cool and attractive.